All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we've got a really fascinating story for you coming straight out of Vietnam. It's about how one family's very personal problem spirals into this incredibly ambitious vision for the entire nation, all tied together by AI and a really unique financial model.
So let's just kick things off with a question that honestly sounds a little bit crazy. Could an AI program actually help a teenager earn what amounts to a full year's salary in just 9 months? And here's the kicker, with absolutely zero financial risk to their family.
You know, this whole incredible story, it doesn't start in some high-tech lab or a fancy boardroom. Nope, it starts with a problem that I think a lot of us can relate to. It all begins with a woman named Lynn, who's worried sick about her younger brother, Tuan. She knows he's talented, but he just has no drive, no motivation.
So Lynn's mentor tells her about this new pilot program. And get this, it comes with a promise that is so bold, it's almost unbelievable. But it just might be the spark her brother Tuan needs.
Okay, so what is this promise? Well, the goal is super specific. Help a young person, legally, earn 240 million Vietnamese dong. Now, to put that in perspective, that's about 10,000 US dollars in just over 9 months. I mean, for a young person, that is absolutely life-changing money.
And the timeline for this? It's really interesting. They've built it around this powerful analogy. We're talking 9 months and 10 days, which, if you think about it, is a clear nod to human gestation. The whole idea is that they're not just creating income, they're literally nurturing a brand new future for someone.
Okay, so when you hear something like that, your first thought is probably, all right, what's the catch, right? How on earth can a program guarantee that kind of money for a teenager? And where's the fine print? Where's the risk? Well, let's dig into how it actually works.
See, the entire foundation of this crazy promise is a financial setup that is specifically designed to take all the risk off the table for the families.
All right, so at the very core of this whole thing is something called a bank guarantee. And this isn't just some handshake deal or a soft promise from the company. No, this is a rock-solid, legally binding contract from a real bank. What it says is simple. If that income goal isn't met, the bank, not the program, gives the family all of their initial investment back, in full.
And the way they do it is what makes it basically foolproof. It's crucial to get this. So the family's investment, it never even goes to the project company. It stays right there in the family's own bank account, totally secure. The bank then issues a certificate that guarantees that money. So what's the worst case scenario? The program doesn't work out? The family gets all their money back directly from the bank. No fuss, no argument.
So you might be asking, okay, why would a bank ever agree to do this? Well, it's actually a pretty clever win-win deal for them. First, they get fees for issuing the guarantee. Second, the money never leaves their bank, so there's zero risk of default. And third, and this is a big one, the whole transaction still helps them meet their lending targets, which makes them look great to financial regulators. It's just smart business.
And what's really cool is how this model makes sure the program isn't just for rich families. If you have the capital, great, you can invest directly. But what if you don't? Well, the project actually helps the student earn a small initial amount first. That smaller amount then becomes the collateral to get bank financing for the whole thing. It really opens the door for pretty much anyone.
Okay, so it's really important to understand this isn't just some clever financial trick. That's just the engine. The real magic, the real work, happens through this incredibly well-designed support system.
Success really comes down to what they call in Vietnam Kieng Ba Chen, which means a three-legged stool. They're kind of super stable, but if you take away even one leg, the whole thing just collapses. The first leg is a personalized AI coach that's tracking progress and giving tasks. The second leg is the parents, providing that daily support and encouragement. And the third leg is a professional ambassador, who's the human connection, making sure it all goes smoothly. You need all three. It's non-negotiable.
And the whole philosophy of the project is just perfectly summed up in its Japanese name. The characters can be read as Jun-ai, which means pure love. That's the human side, the parents, the ambassadors. But with just a tiny shift in pronunciation, it becomes Jun-ai, or pure AI. That's the technology part. It's this beautiful fusion of human heart and pure tech. That's the secret sauce.
So okay, this works for one student, like Tuan. But how do you go from that to changing an entire country? This is where the vision gets, well, it gets absolutely huge.
Let's just trace this out. It starts small, right, with one success story after another. But the goal is to scale that up to create a workforce of 1 million high-quality workers by 2030. That workforce, in turn, generates $1 billion in domestic revenue. And that becomes the ultimate proof of trust. It's like a giant signal to the rest of the world that, hey, Vietnam is a safe, stable place to bring in massive, clean foreign investment.
And that's the real endgame here. It's about creating an economic environment so trustworthy that it can easily attract these huge international investments from places like Japan for giant developments like the Melania project they're planning.
But wait, it doesn't stop there. I mean, rebuilding the workforce, attracting billions, that's huge. But the vision goes one step further, into this really radical economic experiment that could totally change how we think about the relationship between people and their government. So, after you've built this amazing workforce, after you've secured all this investment, what's the final, most mind-blowing goal of this whole thing?
It's to pilot a tax-free nation model. Yeah, you heard that right.
And the way it works is just fascinating. So the pilot is planned for places like Laos and then parts of Vietnam. And they don't go to the government and say, hey, stop collecting taxes. No. Citizens and businesses, they pay their taxes just like they always do. The government's budget is totally safe. But then the project steps in and uses its own funds to give people a refund for the exact amount of taxes they paid. So in effect, you get to experience a tax-free life, but without ever disrupting the state's revenue. It's pretty wild.
I mean, think about that journey. It starts with one sister worried about her unmotivated brother, and it scales all the way up to building a national workforce, attracting billions, and even testing out a tax-free society. It really leaves you with this massive question. Could this unique mix of AI, clever finance, and just plain old human care, could it actually be a blueprint for redefining a country's entire future?